Hello. It's October 30th, and here is your reading. Basically, your question to me was that you met a new guy and you want to know how it's going to go with him. So let's take a look at this. First of all, my neighbors are making tons of noise, and I hope that's not too audible on the video. But they're testing crap for Halloween tomorrow, so they have some ghoulish thing making noise outside. But anyway, I drew two cards for you for the beginning. So this is a tarot card. So I like to have like a special card that kind of sums up the reading at the end. So I drew that one on your behalf, and I'm going to save that one until the end. And then this card I drew from the gods and goddesses and, the gods and, the gods and titans and goddesses and sirens decks from Stacey DeMarco. Art by Jimmy Manton. He's my favorite oracle card artist. And I like to always draw like a card from an oracle card deck to set the tone for the reading. So to set the tone, you've got Persephone, you've got cycles. So that's an interesting one. So for a romance type reading, I would read this two ways. This could be cycles as in like having to do with the periods of places where you are in life right now. Or it could be like cycles, meaning like on again, off again, hard to get started, things like that. So we'll see what comes out in the cards to see how that fits into the theme of the reading. So I've already shuffled the cards, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw 3 as the foundation for the situation here. 1, 2, and 3. Let's see what we've got so far. Okay, this is one of my favorite cards. Situationally here, in terms of like your life and romance, it looks like you've been, this is a 3 of Wands, and to me, what the 3 of Wands is indicating here is that you've really been setting things into motion lately. So I don't have let me get my extra deck. Let me just reach for it too, because I often like to grab the cards that come before or after other cards to kind of explain things. So let me explain the 2 of Wands so that you can see my take on the 3 of Wands. So let's see, here's the 2 of Wands. So the 2 of Wands is, it's really like the planning stage, and to excess it can be sort of what I call analysis paralysis, like where you're kind of in the stage of planning things and trying to figure out where you're going to go. And then the 3 of Wands, the next one in the sequence, is where you're actually you've set things into motion. So, because this is Wands are the suit of fire, the suit of passion, the suit of your will, like what you desire, things like that. I would say that, coming up on meeting this person, I think you've really been I think there's been a previous state where you have really thought hard about what you want. And now that you've thought hard about what you want, now is the time that you're getting someone closer to what you actually want. So I would think that this is an indicator not only that you're in a state where you're making things happen in terms of romance, but this is also about the fact that you are actually meeting better quality people, or people who are closer to whom you think are most appropriate for you to meet. So that's how I would look at that card. Now, the Knight of Swords is one of my favorites just because of the way it's drawn, which I'll get to in a minute. But so swords are the suit of the mind, they're the suit of air, the element of air, and this is like probably the card that has the most motion in the entire deck. The Knight of Swords, knights are explorers, knights go on quests, and air is really about mental energy, about thought and all of that. So there's a definite intellectual quality to the swords as well. So what I would say here is that if we're looking at the present situation with this new person, romantically, I think there will be probably like a very intellectual component to the way you two get on. One thing I wasn't clear on by the way you phrased the question was like, I don't know if you guys like just met, like you've like maybe had one conversation, or if you guys have been seeing each other for a while. So I don't know how well you know this person yet, but what I would say is that, you know, the Knight of Swords, like if you're going on a quest in terms of relationship here, I think number one, this is telling you that you definitely want to find someone who's on a really good wavelength mentally with you. Because you're going to go, I mean, romance is not only about going on a quest yourself, but it's going on a quest with a partner, right? So I think that there will be a definite component of having some sort of intellectual commonality, so that, you know, this intellectual quest is something that you guys can do together. So I don't know if this is already something that you know about with this person, or if it's something that you need, but you can read into this to see if you already know this person very well. Maybe you'll know if this is already borne out in what you've observed in your relationship. If it's something, if it's, you know, if it's still too new to really say, I would say that, you know, that this is definitely a component that would be necessary for this to go well. Now the next one is the Queen of Wands. So you've got another card about passion and will. So where I would say where this is headed in terms of the Queen of Wands is that I think they're well, first of all, wands again are the suit of fire, the element of fire. They're the suit of your passion, your will, your desires, and whatnot. And then the queens are really the stereotypical gender, the gender stereotypes of the tarot are such that, you know, kings and queens have both earned mastery over the energy of their suit. So in this case, it would be the energy of fire, the energy of passion and will, the fire inside you, things like that. And the queen, in contrast to the king, would be a more passive, a more yin sort of mastery of the energy. So it would be the type of energy where, you know, you observe before making a decision rather than use a heavy hand to exert your will in order to get your way. So I would say that if you don't have a history with this person yet, I would say that this could be a little bit of advice in order to make it go well. You could look at this as like you know, you should look to be very even-handed when it comes to communicating your will in such a way that, you know, you give person the benefit of believing positive intent before getting fiery and trying to exert your will. I think this is about being calculated. The Queen of Wands would be more choosing their battles in terms of exerting will in the relationship. So depending on where you're sitting right now, I don't know if this is actually, if there's already evidence for this being the case, or perhaps this is a little bit of advice depending on how far you guys have progressed. Now I want to draw cards that are personal to the two of you as well. So, and then to look at the energy between the two of you. Let me remove this one off the table here. Let me put it back so I don't get them out of order. Okay. So, so I'm going to draw a card for you, a card for him, and then a card for the relationship between the two of you. Okay, so this is for you. This one is for him. And then the relationship between the two of you is this one. So interesting. Oh, stuck to the rubber mat. Okay, oh. Okay, well, this one, the swords have, there's a little bit of echoing with the swords here. So this is sort of interesting here. So, from your perspective, where you are in this relationship, so the card representing you, you've got the Six of Pentacles. So this is the first pentacle card of the reading. And this is the generosity card. So the card is reversed, and the way I read reversals is that it's blocked energy. So the most common way I look at blocked energy is that it will be slow to manifest. It'll just be slow. It'll take too long. It'll be difficult. It'll be a tough slog. And those are kind of two sides of the same coin, really. Like if something's difficult, it's going to take a long time. Otherwise, it wouldn't be difficult. But so this is the card of Well, pentacles are the suit of the material plane, right? So it's not just wealth in terms of money, although money could definitely be a component. So I don't know if there is, say, a call for you to be generous in some way in this relationship, or if there's an inequity in income where you have to give a little bit more, and that's maybe hard for you. It could be literally about money, but it could also just be about the material plane in general, about something you're being asked to give in this relationship here. And it's going to be difficult for you to give it. And either it's something maybe that you don't have, it might be something that you're not so easily willing to part with. Material plane can represent things like livelihood. It could represent your income. It could represent the household, the things that you need to survive in life, like food, clothing, shelter, all of that sort of stuff. So there's definitely some sort of way that you would be called to contribute, and that on the material plane, and that contribution is going to be difficult for you in some way. So I don't know if this is like, maybe this person's a lot younger than you, and maybe you're more established in terms of your income, your experience in life, how much you just maybe just what you've earned in life and what you've built up in terms of wealth and whatnot, and some sort of inequity where you would have to contribute more than you're comfortable with in this relationship, somehow with the material plane. Or it could even be like him needing to be taken care of, something like that, where it's like you have to do all of the cooking and clothing and make clothing, or I don't know, something material plane. So that's kind of the energy of where I'm seeing you in this relationship. So the Hermit is always an interesting card for relationships for me. And I look at kind of it as both a positive and a negative because, well, number one, it's a major arcana card. And I know you know what that means, but some of our viewers might not. So a major arcana, there's 22 of the major arcana cards. So this is like the one major arcana that's come up in the reading. So this is really an indicator to me that this is a specific, an auspicious moment in his development in life, because he's got the major and there's no other majors down on the table. So the way I look at the Hermit in this instance is that it may not be the best energy to have in relationship. The energy of the Hermit, you can read it literally, right? Where it's someone who needs a lot of space, who needs a lot of alone time, who needs time to think, meditate, recharge, just do things on their own. So depending on what type of person you are, that may or may not be a good energy to combine with in a relationship. Now, if you're the type of person who actually needs a lot of your own space anyway, and you also have this tendency, this might actually bode really well, because that means, when you come together, maybe you choose to come together on Saturday, and then it's like, okay, now we need a few days apart. I just need my space, right? So that could actually bode really well for you. That kind of having a partner with that kind of energy. Now, there's the secondary aspect of the Hermit that I really like too, which is that a hermit is, one of the reasons why a hermit has sought solitude is because they got some shit to work on, and they have some spiritual development to work on. And really, they've kind of been doing that work, and now somehow they've found a piece of the truth that what they're looking for. So if you look at the lantern that the Hermit's holding, that's that light there, right? The Hermit, this person, so your romantic partner here, he hasn't necessarily literally withdrawn from society, but he's been doing some work, and he's been doing some reflection, and he has been trying to find some form of spiritual enlightenment, whether this is like a more minor path in his life right now, and it has to do with something specific, like maybe a school, career, what he wants in a relationship or something, like whatever that spark that he has now found, he's found some insight, and now he's ready to use it. Now, this is still incipient, really, this part of his journey, though, because the one thing that I always point out, too, about this lantern is that the light and this discovery that has been going on in this phase of his life, it's still external to him. The light isn't actually a part of him yet. It's actually outside of him. He's staring at it, examining it, and it's enclosed in a lantern. It's enclosed outside of him. So I think this is always about, that there's been some light bulb moments for someone, but they haven't necessarily gotten to the phase where they understand how to integrate those insights into their life and into their behavior and to the core of their being yet. So, and also this is a 9. If you look at in tarot as like, all of the numeric sequences as journeys, we're not at like 22. We're not at the end. We're still in the first half of the journey here. So, it's not, although some insight has been gotten into whatever sort of spiritual journey he's on, or whatever insights he's been getting lately in terms of, I would assume romance, but it could be anything, like something so that he's at a place where he can even have a romance now. So maybe it was career or something like that. That insight has been happening, but not fully integrated yet into the core of his being. So now if you look at the relationship between the two of you, it looks like, this card really bodes well because it resonates with the sword down here, right? The Knight of Swords. We were talking about this intellectual quest. So it's interesting that the energy between the two of you is also swords. It's not too high up in the minor arcana either, which I think bodes well. For me, one of the so swords are the suit of air, and of the mind and intellect and ideas and all of that. And when air energy in the tarot gets too high or too built up, that to me is like anxiety. That is can be depression and things like that. But you're still in the moderate part of the energy, so I think that's good. It's not like you didn't get like an 8 or a 9 or a 10, which I think is like when it's kind of just gets to excess. Now, the image of the card though is of people who are, if you look at the waves here, there's like this really choppy water like closest to us, and then where they're kind of headed over here, like into this like land in the distance, it's smooth sailing. There are no waves in the water. The water is still. So to me, this represents like a journey where you're traveling to better waters. So if that's the relationship between the two of you, this really bodes well. I think that the energy that you two bring to the relationships, it's going to move you guys forward. Both of you are going to be moving forward in terms of relationship, meaning like maybe your relationship to having relationships, your relationship, your skill in relationship, your journey to find that partner. To me, I'm not getting like there's no real indicator here that there's some sort of huge like potential for marriage. We didn't draw any of the cards that talk about solidity, longevity, soulmateness, coming together of souls, all of that stuff. But it does look like, you both have a lot to contribute. It looks like you will both advance in having whatever interactions you're having, be they just for a couple of dates or for months or whatever it is. You guys are both going to learn something from this that advances you guys on your journeys. Whether or not the journey continues for the long term, I don't know. So for instance, you can go out in a relationship, you can have 2 or 3 dates with someone, and they can teach you an enormous amount about yourself and give you a lot of insight, even though it's maybe 2 or 3 dates. And so I would say that if this turns out to be maybe short-lived, I think both of you are going to learn something that's going to advance, your notion and your understanding of what you guys are seeking. There's no reason why you couldn't continue to grow together either. Like that you could, this could continue for a long time, but I think like in the immediate future of the relationship, you guys are going to be in sort of an intellectual learning phase. You guys are going to be finding things out about each other and about yourselves. And I think it might have to do with, the goal card over here about this whole, how do you exert will in a relationship? How do you attenuate that will? How do you use your will, exert your will strategically the way a queen would rather than a king? So if this is sort of the lesson that's coming up, like how to do this, I think that's what you're going to learn. I think your opportunity might be some sort of generosity, whether it's being generous with your time, money, whatever it is. His opportunity, I think, is going to be integrating some ideas that he's already been having into how he behaves in relationship. And yeah. And so now to pull it back to this oracle card, so Persephone was about cycles, season cycles, things like that. I feel like what this is really the indicator is, especially with the way the hermit is like in here. I think that whatever comes of you and this person, it's going to be completing a turn of the wheel for you guys. So not like the wheel of the year, but like if you think of like, you know, relationships ebbing and flowing in life, I think like this is going to complete a turn for you guys. Whatever's coming up immediately for you, like you'll be making some progress and you'll achieve the progress you need to make on the spiritual journey here, whether or not you continue on the journey together or if you diverge and then separate to continue your journeys separately. I don't know. But I think that this is good. I think you guys, I think the overall lesson here is that the two of you are going to grow together in some way. And you're going to aid each other in the journey too, right? And it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a positive outcome for you guys. So now I want to draw the card to just sum it up and to see what this is all about over here. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we didn't... For a love reading, we did not get any cups over here. So now this is the first cup to arrive. And so we've got the Eight of Cups reversed. So the cups are the suit of water. They're the suit of emotions. They're the suit of emotional fulfillment and things like that. And so this is kind of this card really echoes the six of swords that you had over here. If you just, you know, you have two people actually holding wands in their hands. In essence, he's got his walking stick. He's got the I don't know what you call that, a pole that he's using to drive the boat against the bottom of the water there. And so there's this sort of underlying wand energy in these important cards, the relationship between the two of you, and then the card that's summing up the reading. So I find that kind of interesting, that there's going to be something to do with will that's going to the you two coming together and how your wills mesh with each other. I think that's going to be an interesting facet of this relationship. But to get back to the Eight of Cups, the Eight of Cups is, if you look at the way the cups are arranged, there's five on the bottom, there's three on the top, and there's clearly a hole, right? They're not stacked in such a way that they're all flush together. There's an incompleteness to the arrangement, and so that's what the figure in the card is doing. So on an emotional level, something is missing, and he is seeking it. Now, the card came up reversed, right? So that's the indicator to me that there's going to be a tough slog aspect to this. So what I am feeling, especially given the way the suits are distributed over here. Oh, and by the way, yeah, and of course the Hermit's holding a wand too. So a lot of covert wand energy kind of in the foundation of this. So even more will. But what I think this is indicating is that, at least in the immediate future, that there's going to be a definite lack of emotional fulfillment. So while he's kind of at this stage where he's got that sort of, I've got the light bulb has gone off, I need to grow. You're kind of doing your struggle with like this generosity thing, or having to be giving in some sort of material way into the relationship that doesn't make you comfortable. You're going on this journey together and you're discovering ideas and stuff. It feels like that this card is what this card is going to be indicating, is that the theme of will and ideas over here is really going to, the sum total is going to be that there is going to be a missing emotional component to the relationship. So I think I think that's like when it comes to the cycles over here, I'm starting to think that like this is going to be one of those like you're going to grow together, you're going to take a step forward, and then maybe it won't be long lived just because usually in relationships, you know, people, if you think about what a wedding ceremony is like, and or just I don't know, you know, like most people when they think about relationships, it's definitely something that's emotional, and if the emotional component isn't here, I think that might have to do with some of the like a longevity problem, a compatibility problem, or like this might be why it doesn't last, right? The fact that you guys are working on shit, but that sort of the heart feeling full, that might be the part that's slow to come. So, you know, the way I read reversals or it's something that could take a very long time. It might be difficult. It might not happen at all. It's blocked. So I don't think this means that, you know, this couldn't, anything could happen and anything could last forever. And, you know, tarot only reads the energy of the present moment, and anything could change with time. But I would say that, you know, be on the lookout to see like, okay, so for all of the compatibility and whatever is making it work, be on the lookout for, okay, well, where is it not working on an emotional level? Because that might be the task that you have to really work on because of this card here. That at a deeper level, you know, like not just like maybe you have fun together and like all of that, but on a deeper emotional level, there might be something missing. It might be slow to manifest. Looks like there's some blockage around there, so that we can look at as sort of a warning, I think, to sum up. So I think that's all I'm going to say about this. I mean, the question was really general. You met somebody, what does it look like? But if you want to ask some more specific questions, like after you let it grow a little longer, let me know and we can do this again. And then asking more specific questions, I think will give us more specific answer, and it will let us know too whether or not, you know, just about the time. Tarot's not good with timing, right? So about whether or not this is like a big progression or if it's a minor arc in your romantic stories. Since I don't even actually know how long you guys have known each other, so I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for letting me read from you, and I hope this was useful information to you. Take care.